Welcome to Grace Among Us, the podcast where we unearth the many faces and places of grace and share stories of the power of grace in our human lives. Our desire is that this will inspire you to see grace in your own life and share it with others.
Good day, Carri. How are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you, Ebony?
I'm excellent. My name is Ebony Gilbert for everyone who's listening or watching, and I work alongside Carri Richard to talk about grace every other week. And today we are going to talk about our words, what comes out of our mouth. And I'm pretty excited about that. Carri, go ahead and introduce yourself so we can jump into this.
Can do. Hello, my name is Carri Richard. I am a mindset coach and I help people make space and enjoy the ride. And one of my most favorite things to do is talk about this topic. And one of my most favorite people to talk to, period, is Ebony Gilbert. So let's do it. Words.
Very kind of you. Thank you, Carri. I am excited about this topic and I have no idea what we're going to say.
Me neither.
Which is really kind of an oxymoron because we're talking about watch your mouth, be careful with your words. And we have not planned our words for this, but I'm excited about it. It's so relevant. The power of our words, the power of what comes out of our mouth. We've all heard the saying, life and death is in the power of your tongue. And I think when I hear that, I'm thinking how you speak about yourself in your own situations.
Oh.
That's how I've always interpreted that. And I think if I think a little more broadly, I think it can also apply to how you speak to other people. I know it does. I know it does. But I've never really taken the time to apply that concept to how I interact with other folks or how their words impact me. What do you think?
Oh my gosh, I love this. It's so complimentary because like the first thing I think of is the words that come out of my mouth towards others. And
this is going to be fun.
Yeah. And to your point, it's so important to pay attention to the words that how you talk about yourself externally, internally, all of that. Yeah. So yes. And again, no pre-planning. The only word that we had was words. So yes. It's interesting. I just want to start with this. I'm getting to work with a copywriter. Okay. And, they will write things kind of in your voice. They're helping with some writing. And so to do that, they need to get to know you because they're not writing from their voice. They're writing from your voice. And one of the questions was, are there any words that you don't use? And I was like, oh, yes, there are. I don't use the word but because everything after the but is BS.
Say more. Use it in a sentence.
I'd really like to come over, but I need to do the dishes and I have a lot going on. And can you hear the energy shift?
How would you prefer that be worded?
I wouldn't lead with, I really want to come over, but because essentially I'm saying, I'm not coming over. I can't come over today. Period. Full stop. I have some things at work I need to do. I have, like, if I say to you, I really want to come over, but I am not owning my decision. I am just laying it all on you.
I get it. I've not thought about it that way.
What does Yoda say? Don't try, do. I don't know how he says it, but yeah. I don't use the word try. I'm either going to do it or I'm not going to do it. Because if I'm trying, I'll try to get to that. Oh, I have a really hard time with that statement. I'll try to get to that.
So let me ask you, have you always been this decisive about those words, or has this developed over time?
The first answer is no, ma'am. I have not always
Okay.
been this decisive. And yeah, it has come over time, probably in the last 15, 16 years. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because if someone asked me what words don't I use, it would take me a second. I would only have one. And that's just been in recent years. You typically hear me saying luck. I
Mm-hmm.
don't say good luck or good luck with, or, it was luck, because that leaves it to chance. And I don't believe much in chance. That's the only word. And that's just happened in the past couple of years. That's not something that just is innately within me. And I still have to be consciously aware of not just saying it. So that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah. Tell me more about that, about
Luck?
the word luck. Yep.
Great question. I think, not I think, I know that I have given luck credit for things when I knew it was grace, when I knew it was God, when I knew it was a miracle, because luck seemed more acceptable.
Yes.
It was more hip. It was less controversial. So I know I've seen myself do it. I've heard other people do it. And depending on the setting, it's even easier to do, right? Where I'm like, well, good luck with that. When in fact, what I'm thinking is fat chance, or whatever. Or I've said, oh man, luck is the draw. I got it done. It wasn't luck. It was orchestrated grace. It was predetermined mercy. It was something much bigger than that. And I've seen it so much throughout my healthcare struggles, where people would say to me, oh, you were so lucky. And I don't think it's a malicious statement. I don't think there's any ill intent, but I almost feel like I'm slighting the true responsible party for making that thing happen.
Yes.
If it was an appointment that I luckily got into, no, somebody had to move some things around to make that happen. It wasn't luck. It wasn't coincidence. So I've come to feel pretty strongly about what I feel like is not giving due credit to those who deserve it, whether it's me, whether it's someone else, whatever it is, by saying, look, I was
Yes.
lucky to come across a surgeon who agreed to do it. No, I was blessed. I was blessed, and it was pure grace.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like this layer of indirection, and it can be formed by, I don't want to ruffle any feathers, right? And when we do that, or when I'll speak for myself, when I do that, if I put that layer of indirection there, to your point, I'm not giving credit where credit is due.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also not taking personal responsibility. And God can't bless it any further.
Mm-hmm. I'm right there with you. So that's one of our words. It's definitely one of our words. I want to circle back to how we started,
Mm-hmm.
because I was viewing it as how I speak to myself when we say the power of the tongue, and life and death is in the power of your tongue. And you were thinking about how you talk to other people. Can you tell me more?
Yes, I can. For me, it's actually easier to do the work. I'm more motivated to clean up my language towards you or
Mm-hmm.
towards anybody else than I am. It takes a while to clean up the language in my own mind.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's just how it began for me when I kind of woke up to like, I need to start taking responsibility for like my person. And part of that was the words that came out of my mouth, and not all of them were nice. And some of them, it's interesting. It's the motivation behind some of them. Some of the words, I was kind of vulgar, to be honest. these days you hear the F-bomb being thrown around like it's for emphasis.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't feel good. The only reason I would do that is because I want to be part of. Like, I want you to like me, or I want to feel like I'm part of, but really inside, it's not.
Doesn't feel good.
No, it doesn't feel good. I had somebody point out, they're like, you're kind of vulgar. Well, I was in an industry, and this isn't the industry's fault. It's not the group I was in, but it was, to be honest, it was male, mostly men. And like, I felt like I needed to talk like they do.
Mm-hmm.
And not all of them talk that way. Please, whoever, if you guys know me, hello. But I actually had somebody pull me aside and said, that doesn't look good on you. And I am forever grateful for that.
God bless them.
Exactly. Because that takes a lot of courage to do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's another thing about words, this like direct communication. When I am fearful of the response, or that they might not like me anymore, but it's something on my heart to say it.
Just say it.
Yeah, just say it.
Interesting. I feel like when I'm talking to other people, I'm very mindful, and I'm direct. Anyone who knows me knows I'm very direct, but I'm very mindful of the tone. And it's not always just the word being used, it's the way you deliver it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can say, let me give a frivolous example. That outfit looks terrible on you. Or you can say, I don't think that's the look we're going for. It's maybe not the most flattering. I don't have a problem tailoring that to be softer and warmer for someone else. If I'm saying it to myself, the message is, this is bad. This is really bad. Why'd you choose this? You're stupid for even thinking this looked good it goes to the deepest depths. And I've just had to, not we all, that's not a fair statement. I think some of us can identify with, you're your biggest critic.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And those words I was saying to myself, they weren't fruitful. They weren't productive. They weren't helpful. And I thought that since I'm thinking it and I'm saying it, it's me, I'm the recipient and the deliverer, that I can control it without it having such a big impact. But when I started to practice switching it, when I started with today will be better, instead of waking up and saying yesterday sucked, no, today will be better. Just that small switch made all the difference over time. And sometimes not even a long time, just the small switch of the words I'm choosing. What's that thing that people say? You catch more flies with sugar than, have you heard this before?
With honey than vinegar.
Thank you. There it is. Say it again.
You catch more flies with honey than vinegar.
Yes. I didn't know what that meant for many, many years as a kid. It makes total sense now. Total sense now.
Absolutely. So when did you begin to, so I love that you started with the internal conversation, because I think that's the most challenging. To your point, it's like, oh, it's just inside here. So, but to ask yourself the question, would you ever say that to anybody else?
Never.
Right. So why do we reserve that, or take ourselves out of the equation of kind speech?
Why don't we show ourselves some grace?
Yeah.
And I'd be ashamed if anyone knew that I was saying these things to myself.
I have a friend who said, what if you had a speaker on your forehead? Like, how would you feel if people could hear what was going on?
Not good.
Well,
not
if
good.
Anybody can relate, you're not alone.
And I'll tell you asked, when did that happen?
Yeah.
I relocated from Tennessee to North Carolina in late summer of 2019. And I didn't know anyone. It was a move for work, and I didn't have any friends. And there was a period of time that I felt very lonely, very, very lonely. So I would talk to myself. Don't judge me. Talk to myself, sometimes out loud, sometimes. And I realized the conversations I was having with me weren't making me feel any better. It just wasn't. And I thought, now I don't want to be my own cheerleader. That's not what I'm implying. But
Right.
like, how can I just be a little more kind to myself? And I didn't say it at the time. It's not like I woke up and said, I'm going to show myself grace today. That didn't happen. It was more along the lines of, instead of saying, you're never going to meet anybody. You're too old. You're too this. You're too that. You're too busy. You don't like to go to places to meet people. How are you going to do this? I had every reason, a lot of buts. I want to meet people, but
yeah,
I would like to make some friends, but I'm nice, but all those things. And instead of doing that, I started just switching those words. Ebony, you're a pretty cool person, and with time, it will happen the same way it happened before. I've moved several times the same way. And I started just encouraging myself. And that encouragement, I gave myself some grace. I gave it some time. I gave myself some patience. And then COVID happened. And I realized that all those things sounded ridiculous, even more so, because now I'm never going to meet anybody. And I went right back to that place where I was trying to get away from. But with time,
yeah,
that all got better. And I think a major catalyst for how I was feeling on the inside and how that manifested to what was happening on the outside had to do with the words I started using with me.
Yeah. Super powerful.
And that's the biggest. Now, I also went through a period of time where I started saying, I am healed.
Yes.
I am blessed. God loves me, even if I don't know why today.
Yes.
Didn't deserve it today, but he still loves me. I'm not alone. I'm not the only one in the world who feels this way. I'm not strange. I'm not this. I'm not that. But even more to the affirmative, I am special. I am blessed. I am part of a larger community. So it was a gradual switch. It was a switch from the negative, and then I went to the I am not statements to help myself. And I realized that's not even the bee's knees. I can take it a step further. What am I? How does he see me? Because if I could see myself just a little bit like how he sees me, I'll feel better in this situation.
Absolutely. And be open to what's here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And there's that idea. I love that progression of like acknowledgement, like, wow, this is not very kind rhetoric I got going on here. And our minds, our brains, like we will tend to be able to more easily say what things are not, what we don't want, all of that. That's totally natural. So if you're beginning to switch this, conversation inside your head to go to, I'm not alone. I'm not going to be alone forever, whatever. I'm not this, I'm not that. And then to your point, find the positive for it. It is so powerful. I don't know if I touched on this before, but I had stress for me, or I would run and run and run until my whole body broke down. That was my
run or
the busyness. The busyness. Yep. Okay. The busyness. I would just keep going and going and going. And I had no discernment to be kind to myself. Right. And so I had all kinds of illnesses, blah, blah, blah. I spent things, weird things, not weird things. And I finally got to the place of, I'm not available for that. I'm not available. And then it became, I'm so thankful. Thank you for my strong, healthy, vibrant body. Whether it was strong, healthy, or vibrant, because it was coming. Thank you for it. Thank you for this, vibrant vessel. And I'm here to say it is not often that I even have a cold these days.
Look at there.
Yeah. And I know it's because I'm being thankful for what's here and naming it.
You got on your gratitude glasses.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Is it okay if I
Absolutely.
say yes, ma'am? Does that bother you?
It does not.
Okay.
Should it?
No, I say that because when I was younger, I waitressed. And if people called me ma'am at that point in time, I was a lot younger. I really took offense to that. So anyway,
Oh,
I
I'm
like
not
being a
offended
ma'am.
at all.
Okay,
Not
good.
offended at all.
You know, you touched on something in one of the tones of something you said was good luck with that. And that's sarcasm.
It is.
So, do we want to talk about that for a second? I do.
Yeah, it's disingenuous. When I say good luck with that, I'm gonna go with it at least 50% of the time. I'm thinking that's not gonna work,
Right.
and now I'm being disingenuous. I'm not being authentic, particularly if I'm talking to someone that I care about. And I want you to be successful with this thing. And who? This isn't to say that somebody needs my opinion because they don't. But if I'm being asked my opinion or my thoughts on something, and my response is good luck with that, that's not fair. That's not kind. And perhaps it's because I don't understand what you're trying to accomplish. You know, maybe it's an opportunity to say, well, tell me more, or how can I help you? Or will you need any, how can I support you through this? I think it's an open door for a conversation that I have closed way too many times. The blanket statement of good luck with that, 4 words.
Hmm.
And I don't even know how it makes the other person feel, but I can't imagine it feels good. And I felt convicted about it one day. I was like, I don't want to say that anymore. I don't want to. And I'm not implying that every time somebody says it to me, that's what they mean. This is how I feel when I say it.
Right.
And I don't like how it makes me feel because I don't want anyone to walk away with the possibility of, she doesn't believe I can do this. She doesn't believe me. She's not supporting me. Or she thinks that my idea is stupid or anything like that. Because that's not what I want to feel. I want to understand better. And instead of me using the appropriate number of words to say, I want to understand better so I can know how to help or support or play my part. It's easier in the hustle and bustle and the busyness of things to say good luck with that. It's convenient.
Yeah.
And I don't know if communication can be convenient all the time. Not when you're really trying to establish connection and foster relationship. And it reminds me of in this moment, not all the time, but in this moment when I'm praying sometimes, I'm in a rush and I'll have my little quick, as if I can't pray and walk at the same time, but I'll have my little moments of, oh God, help, bless it. And he knows my heart. I don't have to use a lot of words with God, but I think sometimes a little bit more is warranted.
Yeah.
It's the putting it all on the line. It's the complete surrender. And I got to use more words than just help. That's sufficient when that's all I have. But when I have more, I've got to give a little bit more. And I just try to be mindful. I don't know if I'm always careful. I'm pretty sure I don't always get it right, but I try to be mindful of how I'm talking to myself, how I'm talking to others, how I'm communicating with God, because I'm really interested in fostering these relationships that are fruitful for both of us.
Yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
can't do that if I'm leaving you wondering what my thoughts are. I don't want to be mysterious. I used to think, the enigmatic was cool. Now I'm like, say what you mean and mean what you say. And
Don't say it mean.
and be kind about it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of where my head is. I'm happy we're having this conversation. I had a situation just a couple of days ago in the last 24 to 48 hours where I had to approach someone who said something that could have been taken either way. I didn't know if it was rude or not. I didn't know if they were trying to be sarcastic or not. I didn't know. So I asked, I said, hey, what did you mean by that? Like, are you upset? Was it a slam against me? What was it? And the person went off. They fired off, which confirmed that it was, meant in a negative way. And unfortunately, I had to sever that tie. It was in a, workplace setting, and there's just some rules of engagement that you have to follow. And I've been reflecting on that for the last 24 hours. Like, what went wrong in that communication stream? what words were used that painted the picture that maybe was undesirable, maybe wasn't even intended? How did I contribute to this? I've been evaluating it in my mind. And I don't know the answers to those questions, but I do know that the words, it wasn't the mistake, it wasn't the actions, it wasn't the misstep, it was the words that followed that caused the problem.
Yeah.
And I just thought, whoa, that's pretty powerful. It's pretty powerful. And I think it's how grace works, you know? Grace is the kind word. Grace is the blanket covering, even when the misdeed has occurred, even when the misstep, the mistake has happened. What words, what labels, what explanation, what phrasing do you layer on top of it to make it better or worse? Or just to call a spade a spade?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And in this particular example, it was made worse by the words that came afterwards. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be caught in that scenario where I'm speaking before thinking or being impulsive and saying the wrong thing. And I think that's part of how we give grace to other folks.
Absolutely. Words are destructive. You know, there's all kinds of studies that say, like, for every negative, like, if I were to say something negative to you, it would, in our relationship, it would take, I don't know if it's 5 or 7, don't quote me on it, like 5 or 7 positive things to even neutralize that.
Really?
So that's how powerful, like, you can just rip open a relationship or a connection by the words that you speak. You know, I mean, it's how everything was created with the word.
With the
right?
word. In the beginning was the word.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
we have this capacity to create and to destroy very swiftly.
Absolutely.
And we also have this capacity to like remove ourselves from the responsibility of things. Like with the word try, or with the word, like, I feel angry. Like, I am angry. Or I am sad. Like, own it. There's so much. We could do like a couple podcasts on this, but
Part 2.
Yeah.
Part 2.
You know, another thing that I had to learn, I was not the most healthy camper for a while. I made some very poor choices. I think I've touched on some of them. Probably I'll touch on more as we go because I'm an open book. But, you know, I put myself in some situations that weren't really great, and there was not a lot of positivity going on in the whole scenario. And I didn't feel very good about myself at all. I had a pretty poor just self-esteem. I don't even know what you call it, self-worth, whatever. And I had to practice like encouragement, like words of encouragement and appreciation. They were not coming naturally. I was pretty spiritually bankrupt. And so it's like, you know, notice one thing you like about yourself, right? I like the color of my eyes, you know? And as I began to practice that, it's also learning how to give encouragement. Oh my gosh, it's so powerful. I got to host a retreat this last weekend. There were 23 people there. So at one point we had paired off, the other 22 people paired off and looked at each other. It was like on the second day, and it was like, please share something you appreciate about this other person. So I'm sitting there witnessing, I'm watching this happen. I can't hear any of the words. They're all paired up. We're in a big circle, but I'm watching, like, it looked like flowers blooming. You know, it just, what you could watch this connection between the people, and smiles and hugs, and just like, you know, I can feel it just talking about it. And that is the power that we have in our mouths.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's good. That's good. It can shift the entire atmosphere.
In a heartbeat, one way or the other.
So, Carri, Richard, I like the color of your eyes too.
Thank you, Ebony Gilbert.
How about
appreciate that?
How about that? This is good. I think we will do a part 2 at some point in time because there's so much more we can dig into and talk about and really, go a little bit deeper in it. I think it's important that we use our words wisely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Ebony, I really appreciate the focus that I'm going to take from here of really paying attention to the words I speak to myself. And be kind.
Be kind. Show grace.
Yes.
Show grace. And I think another thing we could talk about some other time is how do we receive words from people when they are uplifting and they are encouraging us? Do we immediately shut it down? Do we just put it on mute because we don't agree with it? So, how do we give words to others and how do we receive them?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Do we do one of these?
Mm-hmm. Not talking to me.
That's no bueno. Yes. Yes. So if somebody has a kind word for you, please just say thank you. Even if it's uncomfortable.
Just thank you.
Yeah. Let it in.
And the next time you're in the grocery store or you're in the mall and you like somebody's shoes, tell them.
Watch what happens.
Watch what happens. Or that person who's helping you with something, you're at a restaurant and the person goes above and beyond to give you amazing customer service. Tell them. Say it. We don't know what kind of day they're having.
Absolutely.
We don't know what's going on. And your one word, your one kind word has the power to switch it around. And just maybe, when you're having your down moment, somebody will come and say something that switches you around. And then we'll say something to God about, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for the grace that flows. It's so transcendent, doesn't it? I mean, it just ripples.
It does.
Stone in the pond.
Absolutely. So drop your stones as you're going, right?
And let it ripple.
Yes. Yes.
Let it ripple. I like it. You gonna wrap us up?
Oh my gosh. You're so good at it.
No, I beat you to it. I got you this time.
Thanks. Yeah, Ebony, thank you so much. Again, another I so appreciate this time and again to talk about this subject. Words are super powerful. Not only the words that we offer others, but I would say after this, especially the words we offer ourselves, and an encouragement to be kind, to appreciate, to practice.
Practice.
So, yes, practice.
Practice it.
It's contagious, truly.
I love it.
Me too.
I love it.
All right. I think we're going to go now.
All right now. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. Grace out.
Thank you all. Grace out.
Thank you so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please let us know. We love to hear from you and share it with a friend. Also, please be sure to subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted. We hope you're leaving with another pointer to grace, a new perspective that will light it up in your own life. Until next time, be well, be bold, be kind to yourself, and be on the lookout.